Hello there, woven web enthusiasts. Today we have a gentleman that writes, "My second-born son, who's 13, is a constant reminder of my wife's affair, and I'm growing to resent him for it. Where do I go from here?" He writes in the relationships subreddit, "I'll give you a full context before I get into my current situation. I'm 44 and my wife's 43. We were high school sweethearts and we married young. Our oldest son is 16, and after he was born, my wife and I had some marital problems. Our schedules were off, and we struggled finding time to be intimate and to actually act like a husband and wife. During this time, I discovered that she had an ongoing affair with a manager at her work. We separated briefly, but reconciled. Shortly after we reconciled, she told me she was pregnant, and I should note at this point she at first didn't believe she was pregnant, as she had gotten her period during the first 12 weeks of her pregnancy. So the baby arrived, and as he began to grow, I was suspicious of how different he looked from both me and my other son. My wife agreed to a paternity test, and as I thought, he is not mine. Now, obviously, this hurt beyond words, but I decided to move on. We had a third son a couple of years later and have since lived a happy life together. My wife seemed sincerely sorry for the affair, and we went to counseling, and for the most part, I thought we'd put it behind us. And I have absolutely no reason to doubt her fidelity. The guy she had an affair with was transferred and moved away shortly after their affair ended. To my knowledge, they have not been in contact since. However, over the years, the situation has started to eat at me for a number of reasons, and I'm not sure how much longer I can continue. To begin with, it's becoming incredibly clear that our middle boy is not mine. He looks nothing like me or his brothers. Now, it's never come up in conversation, but I do worry that I'm the laughingstock in our friend groups, at school, etc. And I'm not a big guy, and my wife's affair partner was tall and pretty athletic. Our son, at age 13, he's already almost as tall as I am, and it's very clear that in a couple of years he will likely tower over me. Now, part of me believes that the boy is aware of this all deep down. He's disrespectful at times, far more so than his brothers are. Now, recently, he and I had a heated discussion that ended with him getting physical with me before I de-escalated the situation. It's no worry now, as he's 13, but as he grows, this could be a problem. Also, he and the oldest boy used to get along well. Now, not so much. He's getting bigger, and occasionally he has basically bullied my oldest son, who is really an introvert and wants no part of this type of behavior. And, not surprisingly, based on all of what I've just shared, the boy is great at everything. He's big, tall, and athletic, and he's smart. I'm regularly told around town that I should be very proud of, quote, my son, unquote. And that little part is really starting to bother me. What do I do from here? Where do I go? I honestly feel like these aren't the thoughts of a sane man. But at the same time, it all makes sense. I feel tortured on a day-to-day basis by this constant reminder that my wife sought out an affair with a man who's physically superior and more successful than I am, a man who cast her aside and moved on, essentially, and now I'm raising that guy's son. I feel like I'm losing my mind. And to start the comments, Venture writes, "In my opinion, the problem may not be the kid as much as your lingering sense of inadequacy. Your wife chose that man. Then, at some level, you came to believe his sperm was also a better choice. You feel that he is the better man, and that truth lives in your house." And next, Throwaway writes, "You made the decision to stay at the time of the affair. It's your responsibility to take ownership of that decision. Regardless of DNA, you have chosen to be this boy's father. Your only option now is to get yourself into therapy and work through the resentment you've placed on your child. It isn't his fault. It wasn't his affair. It wasn't his decision for his parents to stay married. You're the adult, and it's your job to act like one." As told by Summix writes, "And why are you taking it out on the child? It's literally not his fault. He cannot control how he came into this world." Mr. Anderson comments, "This guy should have never stayed with his wife and raised the child. No matter how much people try to romanticize situations like this, it doesn't work." And finally, Odd Welcome writes, "Okay, so let me make this 100% clear. The situation as it sits can't continue. It's human to feel certain ways about betrayal and raising a kid who isn't biologically yours after betrayal. The real problem here is that you and your wife are liars. She lied to cheat, and you've lied ever since to protect your ego. Sir, I hate to be mean, but fuck your ego. Get over it. Sit down as a family and tell everyone the truth. Get it out in the open. Your issue is not with your son. Your issue is with his existence, and possibly showing the sad and fragile ego that you have. Get ahead of it. Get rid of the ego. Place your pride back into being the better dad and the better person. Make it clear that you chose him to be your son, despite what his mom did. Just be open about the struggles you've had to endure to make this work. Be honest with him and the family in general. Otherwise, the lies will eat you alive like they already are starting to do. You're on the verge of turning on your own son because of your own ego. Don't make that mistake. And Woven Web listeners, what are your thoughts here? If you're enjoying the channel, hit that subscribe button and like the video. It certainly helps me out. I appreciate you listening.